My girlfriend said, "I'm going to Coachella with Chad whether you like it or not." I said, "Have an amazing time." Then I flew to her parents' anniversary party she refused to attend with her replacement. The family group chat explosion was immediate. I'm 34, work as a project manager in a logistics company, and I'd been dating Hannah, 29, for just over 2 years. We met at a mutual friend's housewarming. She was all laughter and charm, the kind of person who lights up a room just by being slightly too loud. She worked in digital marketing, always talking about brand experiences and energy alignment. And I'll admit, I was drawn to her spark. I'm more methodical, calm, the make a spreadsheet before booking flights kind of person. She used to tease me for it, saying I had CEO energy with a golden retriever heart. Our relationship wasn't bad, but it had these little moments, cracks that I ignored because they weren't big enough to call problems. Like how she'd cancel dinner plans last minute because something more spontaneous came up. Or how she'd go from texting constantly to ghosting me for a weekend, then show up with a smile like nothing happened. When I met her parents, they were warm, grounded people. Her mom was a teacher, her dad ran a small construction firm. They adored her, but rolled their eyes at her drama. "That girl's been chasing excitement since she could walk," her dad once said with a sigh. "She's never met a boundary she didn't treat as a dare." I laughed at the time. I'm not laughing now. It started in March. Coachella lineup dropped, and Hannah was obsessed. She'd gone once before we met, and for the next 3 weeks, it was all she talked about. But money was tight. She'd recently switched jobs, and I'd already planned a week off to fly with her to her parents' 30th wedding anniversary celebration in Portland. Flights booked, hotel reserved, gifts picked. Then, one night, she dropped it casually over dinner. "I think I'm going to Coachella this year." I said, "That's cool. Who with?" She said, "Chad and a few friends." Now, Chad was a name I knew. He was her ex, kind of. They'd dated briefly years before we met. Still hung out platonically, according to her. I never made an issue of it because, again, I'm not the jealous type. I raised an eyebrow. "You mean your ex, Chad?" She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, you're not seriously threatened by Chad." "Not threatened," I said. "Just surprised. You know the timing, your parents' anniversary, same weekend." She shrugged. "They'll survive without me for 1 year. It's not like I'm skipping a funeral. Coachella's something I need right now. I've been so stressed." It wasn't just the words. It was the tone, like she'd already made the decision and was performing the conversation out of politeness. So I asked, "You already bought the tickets, didn't you?" She hesitated, then smiled. "Maybe." That was the moment. The shift. Something inside me went cold, quiet. I said, "Okay, go then. Have an amazing time." Her eyes flicked up, maybe expecting an argument, some declaration of hurt. Instead, I cleared the table and started washing dishes. The next day, she acted like everything was fine. Sent me TikToks about festival outfits and texted, "We'll FaceTime. You'll be fine without me." I replied, "Absolutely." I didn't tell her that her mom had called me the same morning, giddy about the anniversary. "I can't believe she hasn't told you yet. We're renewing our vows at the vineyard." Hannah promised she'd make the slideshow. I didn't have the heart to tell her that her daughter had traded that for a weekend of overpriced drinks and Instagram content. 2 weeks before the event, Hannah moved some of her stuff out of my apartment just for convenience, her way of creating space without saying she was pulling away. I helped her carry boxes to her car. She kissed me, said, "Don't be mad at me, okay? I just need to live a little." That line stuck like a splinter. I didn't respond. I just nodded, and once she drove off, I started planning. Not revenge, something cleaner. Colder. I bought a plane ticket to Portland. Two, actually. The second one was for Maya. She's a coworker. Nothing romantic then, just someone decent. She knew a bit about the situation, had seen the texts Hannah sent me during work hours, the passive-aggressive guilt trips, the emotional hot and cold. When I told her about the anniversary, she just said, "You're really still going? Alone?" I said, "Not necessarily." Maya hesitated at first, but when I explained, "It's not a date, it's about showing respect to her family," she agreed. Hannah flew out to Coachella the Thursday before the anniversary. I didn't text her, didn't even look at her social media, though I didn't need to. Friends sent screenshots anyway. Pictures of her in glitter makeup, next to Chad, holding matching drinks. Her caption, "Some people chase comfort. I chase life." Her mom called that night, voice uncertain. Is Hannah still coming? I told her gently, no. She had other plans. There was a pause on the line that said more than words. Oh, she said finally. Well, I'm glad you'll be there, dear. When Maya and I arrived at the vineyard 2 days later, the look on her parents' faces was something I'll never forget. Relief, warmth, confusion, gratitude, all mixed together. They hugged us both like family. Her dad said, "Thank you for showing up. Hannah told us you were too busy." I blinked. She said I wasn't coming? He nodded, awkward. Yeah, said you were upset and didn't want to face us. That's when it clicked. She hadn't just ditched them. She'd rewritten the story to make me the villain. That's when I knew the gloves were off. When we took the group photo later that night, I made sure to smile. Not smug, not gloating, just genuinely content. Her mom insisted we join the family group chat to get the photos. I did. The next morning, while Hannah was probably still recovering from day 2 of desert raves and neon lights, her phone must have started buzzing. Because her aunt, the kind of woman who loves drama but hides it behind emojis, posted, "Ah, so cute seeing my name and Maya at the party. They looked adorable. Red heart, red heart." Then came a stream of messages. Wait, what? Didn't Hannah say he wasn't coming? OMG, Maya? Who's Maya? Chad who? And then, at 9:14 a.m., Hannah finally replied, "What the F is this?" The flood began. Screenshots, confusion, accusations, crying emojis from her mom, and eventually a single message from her dad. "We love you, Hannah, but this one's on you." By noon, she was blowing up my phone with texts, not apologizing, just spinning. "You're petty. You embarrassed me. You made me look like a fool. You brought a date to my family event." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The truth had already done the talking. The first call came around 3 p.m. that Saturday, just as I was sitting on the porch outside the Vineyard Lodge. The reception was terrible, but I could still hear her voice, that sharp mix of anger and panic I'd learned to recognize over the past 2 years. "Are you serious right now?" she snapped. "You went to my parents' party with some random girl and didn't even tell me?" I said, evenly. "You told me you weren't going, and you told them I wasn't going either. I just filled the space you left." Her breath hitched on the other end. "You're unbelievable. Do you have any idea how this looks? Everyone's texting me like I'm some kind of psycho." I leaned back, watching the rows of grapevines shimmer in the afternoon sun. "You told your parents I ditched them, Hannah." I told the truth. That's all. She was silent for a few beats. I could almost hear her brain flipping through excuses, tones softening just slightly. "You know why I needed this trip. I needed to feel alive. I didn't think you'd make it a public humiliation." "Hannah," I said, "you called me controlling for not wanting you to spend a weekend with your ex. You called your parents' anniversary boring. And now you're mad I respected your decision? You did what you wanted. So did I." She didn't reply, just hung up. That night, I muted her messages. She sent dozens. A few were angry, others strangely tender, almost nostalgic. "You could have at least told me. You made me look heartless. You always have to be the bigger person, don't you? I miss you." By Sunday morning, her family chat had gone nuclear. Her cousin posted a photo of me helping her dad carry chairs, captioned, "Son-in-law energy flexed biceps face with tears of joy." And the comment thread was a battlefield. Then her mother, who'd clearly had enough, wrote, "Hannah, you told us he wasn't coming. You lied. Don't twist this on him." The group fell silent after that. I didn't stay to watch the fallout. I had no appetite for it. Maya and I flew back home that evening. She didn't ask questions, didn't gloat, just sat quietly beside me, reading, occasionally nudging me when the flight attendant came by with coffee. When we landed, there were 3 missed calls from Hannah, then 1 voicemail. I didn't want to listen, but curiosity got the better of me. Her voice was shaky, deflated. "I don't know who you're trying to prove a point to, but congratulations. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I hope that makes you feel strong. I hope you and your little replacement are happy." There was a pause, and then, "You know I only went with Chad because I thought you stopped caring. You're so cold sometimes, and I didn't know how to get through to you anymore." That line hit me harder than I expected. Not because I believed it, but because it was the same manipulation she always used, wrapped in self-pity. The subtext was always, "I hurt you, but it's your fault for not loving me the right way." I didn't respond. Instead, I made a small but decisive move. I packed the last of her things into 2 boxes, labeled them neatly, and left them by the door. I texted her a single line. Your stuff's ready for pickup. Let me know when. 2 days passed before she came. She looked exhausted. No makeup, oversized hoodie, sunglasses hiding red eyes. She walked into the apartment without a word, saw the boxes, and stood there in silence for a long minute. Then, you really did it. I said, yeah. She picked at her sleeve, voice trembling slightly. You didn't even try to fight for me. I looked at her, really looked. There was still part of me that remembered the woman who used to dance barefoot in my kitchen, who made fun of my color-coded Google Calendar. But there was no trust left. Just the faint echo of it. I did fight for you, I said quietly. Just not the version of you that lies to your parents and thinks love is a performance. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Then she nodded, grabbed the boxes, and left. That night, I finally turned off the family group chat notifications. Her mother sent me a message separately, short but kind. I'm sorry for what happened. You didn't deserve that. We wish you peace. I stared at it for a while before replying. You raised a strong daughter. I just wasn't the right person to calm her storms. Weeks went by. The story died down. Mutual friends drifted, picking sides quietly. Some unfollowed me. Others sent me DMs saying things like, you did the right thing, man. I didn't feel vindicated, just tired. I saw her once more, months later, at a mutual friend's barbecue. She was laughing too loud, drink in hand, acting like nothing had happened. Chad wasn't there, but the performance was. She caught my eye across the yard, froze for a second, then looked away. And that was it. No apology, no closure. Just two people pretending they hadn't almost wrecked each other's lives. In the following weeks, I started therapy, something I should have done long before. The therapist said something that stuck. Some people don't want partners. They want mirrors that reflect the image they've built of themselves. You stopped being her mirror. That line explained everything. The anger, the betrayal, even the Coachella trip. She didn't go to the desert to dance. She went there to be seen. And when I stopped being the audience, she found someone else to clap. Final update. It's been 8 months since the Coachella weekend. I didn't plan on writing this, but I saw a post on Reddit yesterday, something about emotional blackmail disguised as freedom, and it pulled me straight back into that vineyard, that weekend, that decision. A lot has happened since then, and almost none of it feels like victory. After Hannah moved her things out, there was this weird quiet. The kind you don't notice until it's unbearable. No more constant pings from her. No more unpredictable weekends. No more emotional roulette. My apartment felt flat. Too neat. Too stable. For the first time in 2 years, peace felt unnatural. I kept expecting some grand apology, or at least a confrontation, but none came. Instead, she slipped out of my orbit the way people do when they know they've burned their bridge and can't bear to look back at the smoke. A few weeks later, her mom reached out again. She said Hannah was figuring things out, which I think is parent code for spiraling, but we don't want to admit it. Apparently, she'd broken things off with Chad not long after Coachella. The story, at least the family-friendly version, was that he'd been flirting with other girls. The irony didn't escape me. Still, I didn't hate her. I wish I could say I did. It would have been easier. But what I felt was heavier and duller, a mix of disappointment and pity. The kind of ache you get when you realize someone isn't evil, just profoundly lost. Work helped. Therapy helped more. Maya and I stayed friends, still friends, actually. People made assumptions, of course, but she was smart enough not to get tangled in the gossip. She saw the mess for what it was. Not some romantic victory, but the quiet fallout of emotional neglect. Around July, I got a message from Hannah's dad. It was short. We're proud of how you handled everything. You're a good man. Take care of yourself. It meant more than I expected. I didn't respond right away, not out of bitterness, but because I didn't know what to say. What do you say to the father of someone who almost publicly ruined you with a single lie? Eventually, I replied, I wish her the best. I mean that. And I did. By autumn, I heard from mutual friends that Hannah had started a content strategy gig in LA, focusing on travel branding. Her Instagram became a curated carousel of sunsets, manifesting quotes, and captions like, if you can't handle my shine, stay in the shade. I used to roll my eyes at that kind of stuff. Now I just scroll past it in silence. She's not my problem anymore. There was one strange moment, though. In late September, I got a call from an unknown number. It was her. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity won. She sounded calm. Hey, she said. I heard about your promotion. Congratulations. I thanked her. Awkward pause. Then she said, "You know, I think about that weekend sometimes. I was cruel and stupid." There it was, the ghost of accountability, years too late. "I know," I said, "but I'm okay now." She exhaled. "I'm glad. You always deserved someone who didn't need an audience to love you." That line stayed with me long after the call ended. Because she was right. And maybe she finally understood that too. The family group chat still exists. I'm technically still in it, though it's muted. Every few months, someone posts a photo from the vineyard or her parents celebrating another milestone. They still send me a Christmas card. This year's one had a handwritten note from her mom. "You were part of our story, and that still matters." I don't think Hannah knows. Maybe that's for the best. These days, I don't replay the Coachella story for sympathy or satisfaction. I tell it, when I tell it at all, as a quiet lesson. About what control looks like when it's dressed as independence. About how love can rot quietly under the noise of self-expression. Mostly, though, it's about letting people be exactly who they are, even when that truth burns everything around them. Because sometimes, peace doesn't come from proving someone wrong. It comes from accepting that you'll never get the version of the ending that feels fair, just the one that's honest. So yeah, my girlfriend once said, "I'm going to Coachella with Chad whether you like it or not." I told her, "Have an amazing time." And I did mean it. Because that was the moment I stopped being her safety net and started being free.